Hello everybody, and welcome to another thrilling episode of FSD Beta Drives. We're gonna go take FSD Beta on this Tesla out for a spin. Now, there's a lot of messed up things happening in the world. We got inflation, we've got slowing GDP growth, we've got a stock market that's been tanking, we've got a lot of headwinds, a lot of problems that might be stressing people out. But quietly, no one's really talking about it. They're distracted by other things. The software continues to advance. Tesla's making these robot cars in Austin, in Berlin, in California, and in China. And the software, the brains to control the car, is getting more and more advanced. So let's go take the car for a spin and see how it does. I think there are certain technologies that are such game changers that they transcend economic cycles, business cycles, market cycles. Like, you take a look at the iPhone, for example. The first iPhone came to market in June of 2007. And if you look at Apple's stock price at the end of 2007, the year the iPhone came out, and you look at the stock price at the end of 2008, I think it got cut in at least half, somewhere around there, because of course there was a global financial crisis. So would you say that it was a bad idea to invest in Apple when the iPhone came out because there was going to be a global recession and maybe you could have gotten the shares at $3 instead of $6? Well, yeah, maybe you could have gotten a little bit higher returns. But the amount of growth that was ultimately created by the iPhone, from sales of the product, from services, from all the benefits across the economy to people using the devices, companies like Uber springing up, was just so massive compared to where Apple was at that time. It really doesn't matter. And I think you can see what's happening here. I'm talking to you and the car is just handling everything. It's handling pedestrians, it's handling stoplights, it's handling other cars. It knows how to move around the world itself. And that's something software has never been able to do. We started really in the 80s with the personal computer revolution. It needs to turn right here. It's waiting for these people to cross. Now there's some more people on the other side. Notice how it's smart enough to know, okay, those guys are walking this way. And hopefully he gets a chance to go here. Nope, there's another guy. And now we got some people walking this way. And the software is much more patient, makes much safer choices than a human probably would in this situation. It's much more likely to let people cross than to try and get its way. The question is, will it get stuck here forever? Give it a little bit push. So yeah, really going back to the 80s, I think you had, since really the microprocessor came to market, you've had really different breakthroughs every decade that affected every single business in the economy. And you had, in the 80s, maybe personal computers, things like Excel, really improving the efficiency of businesses, improving the way we live, compared to if you had to calculate those things by hand or with a calculator. Then in the decade after that, you had the World Wide Web, and of course that impacted every business. Following that, you had the smartphone, basically taking the World Wide Web and those technologies and putting it in your pocket so you could bring it with you anywhere. And that, of course, changed everybody's lives. It changed every business in the economy. It changed how we work. It changed everything. And now AI is, I think, the next wave. The computer is now climbing out of your pocket, and it's now able to move around the world on its own. Whether it's a car that you say, okay, I want you to take me to this location, and I can just sit here and the car is able to see everything. It's able to see, okay, this is a biker, this is a car, this is where the road goes, and it's able to safely move around for the most part on its own. So this is a pretty profound technological change. You're going to see robots that are in human shape, robots that are in car shape, drones, lots of different applications of computers basically moving around the world with us, robots walking the streets with us. And yeah, it's going to change our lives. It's going to change every business. It's going to change the economy. It's going to change our very idea of what labor really means, with computers now able to do many things that we thought only a human could do before. And it's 5 o'clock right now. This is pretty heavy rush hour traffic. Everyone's going home from work. And despite the challenging environment, the highest traffic time in a densely populated city, the software is still able to handle it pretty well. Okay, a little bit of hesitation there. Then it picked it up. I think it wanted to make sure it wasn't driving into any cars. Okay. There you go. And like I always say, this is a challenging environment for a human to drive in. The fact that you have a piece of software that can make it easy for a human that's not familiar, they can still monitor and make sure everything's okay, but the software can really help make it simpler for them. There's really kind of multiple ways you can think about what this software is. One way to think about it is like it's a self-driving car that's kind of crappy, right? Because it's almost like a self-driving car. And, you know, maybe someone who was uninformed might even not be able to tell the difference. But of course, you can't really go to sleep yet. You need to monitor. You can see every once in a while it's asking me to touch the wheel to confirm that I'm there. And it's using the camera to monitor my attention, because at this point you do need to pay attention. But simply a more reliable version of the software that worked in the future. Maybe you could take a nap or something like that. So one way to think about where this is right now is it's a crappy self-driving car. But if you want to look at it from the other perspective, you could think about it as just a really advanced extension to your car's GPS navigation system. So the GPS navigation system you have in most cars probably can tell you, what turn you need to make next. But this can actually take those directions and apply the right inputs to the steering wheel and pedals to actually execute those directions and help you do that while you're still watching. It's pretty incredible how well it works. I mean, I've been using this for a long time now, and it never ceases to amaze me that I can just sit here and move around the city of San Francisco effortlessly. I'm looking back to my left, you guys can't see it, but there's just a beautiful view of the city. Alright, so it's making a little questionable lane change here. Don't know why it did that. Switch lanes and then switch lanes right back. I love how quiet the car is too, as it just floats around the city. It really feels like alien technology. A video can't really do it justice. You have to get one for yourself, sit in the driver's seat, try it, and go around your neighborhood to really understand what's happening here. Looks like there's a Hyundai Ioniq 5 up there, another EV. Tesla Model Y. You can see more and more EVs on the road. BMW i3 behind me. Let's go, come on. Do it. That's the thing I like about this too compared to other robo-taxi type things like Waymo. Waymo, you don't really have any say over it. You just kind of have to let it do whatever. But with this one, if it starts slowing for a yellow or something and you don't want it to, you can just hold the accelerator and make it go. Which is kind of cool. Because the reality is, these cars are not going to get everything perfect all the time. Being able to give it input and be a co-pilot is going to be really something that consumers want in the short term. There's no other car for sale that comes even close to what this car can do, automated. And by the way, it's actually insanely fun to drive manually. But when you don't want to, you just put it in autopilot and it can do everything for you. no matter what you throw at it, it can at least attempt it. It's not going to get everything, but you can ask it to try anything. And you'll be surprised by how much it can already do, even though it hasn't even been released yet. Later this year, everyone who bought the FSD package in the United States is going to be able to access this beta if they want to. And that's going to be an extremely powerful moment. You've already got 100,000 people using the software. It's going to get up to 1 million people who have at least tried the software once pretty quickly. Overnight, self-driving cars will be mainstream. Like, you just look at how many Teslas there are driving around in this neighborhood, and they're all going to be running this software. Okay, this is a very tough left turn. Let's see, can it get it? Wow, pretty good. A little bit of hesitation, but good. Okay, don't know why it stopped. That was not good. I was looking in my rear view to make sure someone wasn't coming that might rear end me or something. So I touched the button there, and that'll send the clip up to them. So whatever made it pause, they can note that that was not actually a valid reason to pause. Alright, that looked a little bit too close there. Don't want to risk getting my rims messed up. Alright, here's the tough situation. Very good, see? There's another Tesla that's going to be running the software if it isn't already. And here we are at the destination. Thanks for coming along on this ride, and see you next time.